Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. All right, let's see what's going on. There's the CHF. That's the Swiss franc against the dollar. Let's put it up on J4X too at the same time. Right there. And you can see dollar still heading down, little flattish today. I guess even you could say it's perking up. Let's see if we can widen that a little bit so you can see that. Yeah, you can see that right there. It's moving up just a little bit, nothing major. You can still see it's been in daily sell since this top right here. It's been in a weekly sell halfway through that situation right there and confirming it at the end of that week. So, somewhere's in here it went into the sell, stayed under the number, and zoomed down. It has fallen, which is a positive thing for the Swiss and a negative thing against the dollar. And that's the action we're starting to see here in the pairs trades. They're all starting to show, consistent weakness in the dollar, strength in the individual, currencies, and with what's going on here in the States and the amount of borrowing and so forth. In other words, confidence and inflation, interest rates are, some of the fundamentals. As much as I can say, you normally can't look at fundamentals. Giannis and I have talked about this, and he's done a webinar on it and the whole bit, and the fundamentals when it comes to the pairs trades is relatively one-sided. It's mainly in the dollar. Whatever is going on in the dollar seems to dominate the pairs trade, and economically you rarely see things that affect the other side of the pairs trade. I mean, there is some, but not anywhere near what happens with the dollar itself. 47. Good morning to you. Want to see what the Canadian looks like? Sure, let's jump over to Canadian right there. Canadian climbed into a weekly buy last week. You can see it's been a daily buy for a day now, going on its second day right there. And it's just fighting to stay even at the moment. They sold it down. Now it's pushing it back up again, which is a little weakness in the Canadian, obviously against the dollar, which usually puts pressure on the oil market. We'll see what that shows. See what else can we say about that. We usually go to the Canadian later on, and we will come back to it, but I hope that shows you where we're at. It was flirting yesterday. I can see that right there. We have a nice little pink circle, oval right there around the product, but now you can see it's plus again. See that? Plot 1 is plus. So, it was showing weakness and it has failed at it at the moment. I hope that helps you out. And we'll come back to it as we go through the cycle. If you have any other questions about it, just fire it out and I'll come right back to it again. Now, let's jump over to the euro. You can see euro's done the same thing. It has a high for the day. It's a hangman for those candle followers. Been in a daily buy for a while in here for this whole move. No problem at all, 47. And we're going to come back to it again, so we'll look at it probably a little bit more in depth, but more connected to the oil market. You can see the same thing with the weekly, a couple weeks in a weekly buy with the euro, and it's moving up and showing some real life in it. And I don't think anything fundamentally has changed in Europe. It's just that things have changed with the dollar. The interest rates keep on rising, inflation keeps on jumping, and we're paying $12.50, $13 a board foot now for wood. It's spreading out. Soybeans are in the 14s. Corn is close to 6. Things are getting expensive. Mr. and Mrs. Inflation has come to visit America. Thank goodness we produce so much of our own, so it doesn't always affect us, but it's still there. There's no doubt about that. You can see here on the cable, showing a little weakness here this morning. Been in a daily buy for, what is that? This will be the 6th day. We are cleanly through the weekly. Let's put that up there like so. That's how it started off yesterday. There we are. And we have the little green oval going on there, so there's some really firmness. You can trust the strength in it right now with it above the zero line and being in a daily buy. And so, we'll see how it bounces off the the lines there, and at the same time, see how it holds up to the time manifold here on the daily. We wouldn't want to see it drift too far south. And what else can we say about that? I guess that's about it when it comes to the cable. Cable, again, yesterday I mentioned that the cable, is now a community of 2 billion people since they left Europa and the ECB or EU. Now they're with the Commonwealth again. They are the lead in the Commonwealth. The Queen is the head of the Commonwealth, and that's 2 billion people. So economically, they've shed a half a billion and picked up 2 billion. And at the same time, they are on the doorstep of a half a billion that probably is comfortable with some of the British products and will still buy from Britain, even if they have to pay a little bit more. So we've only seen Brexit as a positive. That's one thing the media never really talked about. I don't think I ever heard the media as they talked about Brexit, and how bad it is and how bad this is. Not one time did I ever hear about how the Commonwealth would be the compensation. It would allow them to participate with Canada and Australia and New Zealand and South Africa and Nigeria and Kenya and Jamaica and Belize and a few others out there. India. I forgot India the same way I did yesterday too. And so, there's a lot to be said about the Commonwealth. And why the media chooses to hide it is always a funny, odd thing. All right, let's drift over to Turkish Lira. Turkish Lira is showing strength for a third day, but the weekly is deeply buried down below the zero line. So, we're keeping close eyes on that. If this thing jumps back up and this is in a daily buy, we do believe you're going to see some real numbers on the upside here. So traders that are trading the Turkish Lira, be very, very careful about playing the downside to that. And then we zip back to Canadian, and there it is. And we're assuming because it's pretty much unchanged to down a little bit and had a nice long tail, we're thinking that oil will be, on the negative side or sideways, one or the other. And then what we do is we drift over to the NASCAD, which is better known from currency pairs traders as the loonie trade itself. Let's take a look at that loonie trade. And then you can see here, this is acting up. So it's showing strength. It's been in a daily buy for, almost 6 days now. And 1 week, they're going on a second week now. So we would assume oil will be in the plus zone. And what we do is we drift over to the plus zone. And there it is. There's the crude oil. And it is, it's up. Yep. Some strength in there. We even had a high today of 64.38. It's trading at 63.78 at the moment. And been in a daily buy for, what is that? On the fact check spreadsheet, it's showing 7 full days since back here. And we're fighting our way into a weekly buy again. So there's that inflation again. I know that people around here in the States are very upset with the idea that after Mr. Trump left, or even before that, once they were willing to give it to Mr. Biden, oil prices have risen. The gas prices themselves, and it's like everything that Mr. Trump basically said is coming to fruition. Disaster in the borders, inflation. And the only thing that hasn't come yet is a crash in the market. And some of the math is screaming that something's brewing. But again, when they're plowing trillions, so far since Mr. Biden has been in, they've plowed over $3 trillion into a lot of different things there. So the trillions in the... Hey, Robin, how you doing? Good. Just doing the web... Yeah, we're on the webinar for 10 minutes now. No, that's all right. Roger that. No, that's all right. You got something? Do I need to send you something?
No, cash cattle was $3 over.
$3 over, wow.
Yeah. And that's where it collapsed from.
Okay. Yeah, from them holding up. That's something. And that's just way too high on cash cattle.
Yeah, that's what Carl had been saying, but I can't get it out of Carl. He had to run away from me.
Yeah, he's got 3,200 head of cattle to chase after.
Yeah, plus he's got $300 to wire them to me today.
Ah, okay.
It ain't gonna happen because I didn't get to talk to him about it.
Yeah, I hear you.
He told me he's gonna send me the wire information. I sent it last night.
Yeah. All right, let me go back to the webinar. Bye bye. All right, so that was a little talk on cattle. The cattle had fallen down, and Robin was, the math caught the whole thing. Here, I'll show you what Robin was talking about here. And cash cattle was holding it up, and it's something to drift from for a second. Let's see if we can show you. We'll show you the cattle. So cash cattle is where the brokers are trading it versus the actual futures contract, and they were trading $3 premiums to it. And let's see, where's it at? So there is the February cattle. You can see the way it fell down, went into a sell here for us, and you can see it was a nice sell-off, and you can see the weekly there. Let's see what the front month cattle look like in June. There is June cattle right there. Same situation. We went into the sell off of this big slide right there, and been in a weekly sell. Most of I guess all of this week here, that week, and then closed in a weekly sell and is still sliding down. Yesterday they put more hammer to it on the downside, and so that's the Robin called about the cattle. We're going to write something about that today, about how the cash market held the cattle market up way beyond what it should have been, and that's why it collapsed so hard. And then we'll see. I guess you would imagine that the support is in this area here, just looking at it. So that's for anybody that pays attention to the meats market. There we go. Now, where were we? We were talking about Turkish. Canadian. I guess Canadian. So we're seeing the strength in the oil. And, it's people are getting fed up with the idea that we were paying under $2 a gallon. And now we're paying almost $3 a gallon. And that's a pretty big jump. People are not happy about that. All right. Let's drift over to, let's see, what do we do here? Oh, yeah. So once we finish the NASCAD, we take a look at oil markets, as I said. And we did. We saw where oil is firm. And then what we do is we look at the energy markets in general, and there it is right there. There's the gas market. It's been firm, following the pathway of those currency pairs. And then the fuel itself, where is that at? Right there. That powers the automobiles. It's been firm since here. We're flirting with a little daily sell here. Let's just refresh that. Just playing with it there, but we've been in a weekly buy for so long now. Since November. Is it November? No, our first week in December, we went into a weekly buy. It's been in a weekly buy since the 140s area. And it has climbed now to the, where was that? The 210s area. That's an enormous jump, from 140 to 210. Yeah, that's 70 cents. It picked up 50% in value from, subtract 70 from 140, and that's 70. So it picked up 50% in price. That's why a lot of people around here are frustrated with Mr. Biden's policies. Except for the media. The media thinks he is brilliant. You just seen it was yesterday. Very funny, odd thing happened. I guess it was Sunday. He was asked about the border. And he said, yes, it is a crisis and we need to resolve it and take care of things. And then his mouthpieces, I guess you would call them, who come out and speak for him every day in news conferences, said no, he didn't believe it's a. They're actually walking it back, which is very odd. And I guess they think that they control all the media, but as long as the 80% that they do control, they just walk it back. The media is going to basically sing the same song. So odd but true. Anyway, there's the three energies. You can see the pressure on those three energies. Let's drift over to the currency pairs again. And we start off again looking at the ruble. You see the ruble showing a little strength in here, heading back up. It's been in a daily sell since here, but it really has made lower lows and it's tried to almost make higher highs in the same days. It's been very volatile. You can see couldn't really take the short. Why, traders? Because we're in a weekly buy. That's why you can't take the short. And you can see here, no problem whatsoever. It's way over, in that weekly buy. So you can't really take that short. And then we take a look at yen. You see the yen is trying to perk its head up. It went into the sell on a weekly there towards the middle of the last week. It was in the sell, and it had been in the sell from the 5th of April. And the pressure has been on. And then we zip over to the Mexican peso right there. You can see peso has been in a weekly sell since later March, and same thing with the weekly. It's been in a weekly sell, and the peso is doing really well against the dollar. So it says a lot right there. It's the things. I heard. I guess it's Hildebrand from the Wall Street Journal was on this morning. I was watching him with other people being interviewed, and he says, things look okay. He says that type of thing. And I think I might have talked about this yesterday. The 4 major banks here in the States have a loan to deposit ratio at its highest it's ever been. So they're only lending 50% of the money that they have. That's it, 50%. That's an incredible number. That's all they're lending. I mean, they're in the business of lending, but for some reason the Federal Reserve holds them back and doesn't allow them to lend more than 50% of their assets, or they'd be lending it, because we know that a lot of those assets are on overnight for free. So they're getting paid to hold on to those assets by the Federal Reserve, and so they're not allowing them to lend it. And it's a real strange thing. I mean, if things were okay, why would they be fighting not to lend money? There's a lot of strange things out there, traders. As I said yesterday about collars and options, and be careful. The dollar is telling us that we see issues coming down the road that could be very painful for equity players and so forth. We're seeing a lot of strange things go on, and the dollar is really emphasizing it by going down the way it is. And it's just a matter of time when we're gonna, I guess, we usually say pay the piper. Now the problem is there's an old saying about sell in May and go away, and you have to assume that's the weakness we're seeing right now. Let me just show you what I mean by that. Let's drift over to right here. Let's take a look at the stock indices. That's usually where we jump from the energies to the where do we go? Usually we go to the metals, but I'm just going to show you the way some of the stock indices are acting, like the Nasdaq 100, or on Dukascopy it's known as the Tech 100, where you can trade it there. Let me just show it to you right there. And that's the Nasdaq Tech 100, right? It's around here somewhere. Yeah, that's it right there. And you can see the pressure we have on the stock indices. They're trying to go down in the Tech 100, but notice the weekly is very firm, even with it going in a sell, buy, and in a sell again. And then today we're seeing the same thing with the S&P 500. It's flirting with a daily sell today, but again, look at the weekly. The weekly is very strong in here, so it's making it hard to try to get short, because you just don't believe that until we see some real damage, and at least see the green line go challenge the time manifold here on the plus side right there, that one right there. I mean, we're not seeing any real weakness except for just in the indice, just a mildly on a day-to-day basis. And that's probably the selling we're seeing. And you can see even the Dow Jones Industrial Average feeling the same pain today, right there. And then the one that has caught my eye is the Russell, right? Where is it at? Right there. The Russell is playing with the weekly sell and the daily sell, and that's got my eye real close, thinking that they're going to go challenge at least. It's today it looked like it challenged that low at one point right there. See if you can see that right there. It's challenged that low here, And I'm thinking that, with some toughness from the weekly, it may come challenge this low here. So we're keeping an eye on that one. But that is the action we're seeing in the stock indices. Now we're going to zip over to, normally we go to the metals first and then go and check out stock indices after looking at like cryptos. But let's look at, there's crude oil. No, we want gold underneath it. There it is. There's gold. Gold holding firm. And silver holding firm. And you can see here copper fighting and still trying to hold firm, even with the internals trying to fall down. We've got price action on the upside, and we got green and red dots, so you can't go into the sell yet. And you can see it's trying to get into the weekly buys. Let's see, where's that now? So it's just minus by the hair of its chinny chin. Just right there. And that's why we're having so much problem. Let's just reload that. That's why we're having so much problem, because yesterday it had climbed into the buy, and now it's back underneath it again. And that's why we're seeing that weakness in here. And we'll see if this starts to roll over. Maybe we just get a red dot one and a bar by the end of the day and lose the green, and we might be seeing ourselves in a sell. That could be the real possibility here. So traders, be careful there. Matter of fact, we'll just leave it like that for the time being. And so the metals complex is trying to find a way to head down, which is again odd, and that's why the cryptos. Let's go over to the Bitcoin, and we're going to start. What we might do too is there's the Bitcoin, and Bitcoin. We had a red dot there yesterday, and and we can see the weakness here, or sideways action here, is trying to get it back into the buy from the sell-off here. And you can see the weekly has, I believe it's turned back up now, right? What is that? That is plus, yeah. So it's plus, plot 1 is plus. So it's trying to climb and get back into the buy, which we kind of doubt any weakness in there was going to be, the dive down into the mid to low 5,000 area, 50,000 area, I'm sorry, 55,000 to be exact. That was not, not going to be death defying. It just was a large volume over the weekend. Sometimes over the weekends people do that. Now, let me go over to a new crypto that started last week, and that's Coinbank. And let me load Coinbank into our screen here and see how that looks. I think it's the 4th day or 3rd day, so we're actually going to start generating some numbers, I think. Let's see, where is it at? So right there, and let's see. We could. Let's see. We had with J.O.'s coffee, right? We turned that from bail. And what we'll do is maybe do this one right here. Format, arrange. Oh, no. Let's go back and do that again. There we are. And where's that? Right there. Let's just double check. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so now let's take this and put Coinbank in there. Format instrument. And let's just double check what the Coinbank symbol is. Where is that? Right there, right? I have it marked somewhere. There it is. COIN. So let's add that in there. And it's something definitely to start paying attention to. We'll be showing you this with Bitcoin when it fills in just a little bit more, but we can start to see it each day now, and we'll see how the math goes. Look up. There it is right there. And close. There we are. And coin again. I think it's got 3 days of data in there, 4 days of data. Yeah, you can see that right there. So we're starting to collect some information. After 10 days, we're going to start having some internal stuff. Matter of fact, what we could do is we could do this too at the same time. Let me grab one of these and copy that. Copy window. And then we're going to paste window. Let's see right there. And let's minimize all this, or let's make this bigger. and put it in there. Let's see how it looks over those days now. COIN. Stock. There it is right there. And we'll shrink. Yeah, see that? It's going to start filling in. It's an active thing. Look at that. Since it's a 24-hour. That's cool. There we are. And matter of fact, I think what we probably do is try to make it much larger in settings. And we're going to start to get a little flavor of the. Let's make it like 3 days out. We're going to start to get a little flavor of this product on a shorter term basis with a 2690 contractor tick chart. And that'll be very interesting. You know, we'll see how this well, let's do this. Let's change it back to 2 days, and then we'll walk it back over time. It's just reloading at the moment there. So, whoop. It's freezing up a little bit. I'm sure we'll get this thing moving along in a few seconds. Just going back and filling. So anyway, this is going to be the new tool that we follow the cryptos on, which is, as far as I'm concerned, going to be very, very positive. No, it won't let us switch screens for the moment. This is an exchange and a buyer and seller of the product, and it's a multi-billion-dollar company. I think it's a $100 billion company. So it's going to be very insightful what's going on in the crypto market and how people are participating with it. And that will be probably the beginning, because unfortunately the other two products like Ethereum and Bitcoin themselves don't really trade a lot. I mean, they're very thin. I think Bitcoin trades about 5,000 or 6,000 contracts a day. That's too thin for us to be able to really appreciate mathematically what's going on. And the same thing with Ethereum, is only like 3,000 contracts a day. And we would really need like a good 30,000, 40,000 to show real participation going on. So this Coinbase is going to be a really good insight to the crypto market, because this is, the institutions are allowed to trade this now, and that opens a doorway. Remember, futures only something ridiculous in the United States, like it's a really small percentage, something like I want to say 15% of the population trades futures, whereas the 85% more of the people trade stock indices and stocks and bonds, and just stocks in general. So that alone has it more of a freak out when it comes to the that whole sector. I think we're going to have to do a Control R and get control back on our system here. Yep. So let's do Control. Is it Alt Control Delete? That's what it is. Alt Control Delete. There we go. Taskmaster. Let's see what we can turn off here. Let's see. I just saw it. There it is. I see where we're having our problems. In process. And process. And process. We're going to have to end the process of the multi-chart. And that'll straighten it all out. We'll be able to get control over this again. We'll just restart her, that's all. There we go. Now let's see what happens here. Minimize that. And do we have the power again? Now we're back up again, which is nice. Now let's do this. Reopen that. The good old Microsoft flag. Perpetual advertisement. Okay, as they open up. We'll get our charts back and we can look around the neighborhood. While we're doing that, we'll look at J4X. And so there's the Tech 100, and that's what we've been talking about, is this weakness in the stock indices. Being pulled down by the dollar. See if we can show you the dollar index at the same time. And there's the Bitcoin also. See there, Bitcoin. And, hanging out in the 55 thing. Notice it's kind of flattened out ever since the selling on Saturday. Because that's what the selling came over the weekend. And then the pressure, came into it, and then it died. And the sellers disappeared. They sold off a couple, I think it was $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. And then what happens is it's just not going anywhere now. The sellers are gone. Oh, here we go. We're getting our charts back up again. There we go. And close. We'll try to open that up tomorrow. Let's see. And then let's open up the currencies again. There we go. We're back in the saddle again. Back in the saddle again. You can see here, here's the dollar index. Right there. Moving down. Let's see what we got here. And you can see the Bitcoin moving down on J4X. So the pressure is on right now. And when we see that, we usually drift to the stock indices. And we did. So then let's go over to the other side of that. And that is the commodities. Because these commodities are being used as a currency nowadays. And there we go, opening up that. And there is the commodities. And so there's where we are right there. Let's go back. That's the bonds. Very fascinating. The bonds look like they tried to get into a sell yesterday, but they cleaned that up, and it's holding on to the buy, and it's got that weekly buy going on with the 30-year bond. Interest rates are firm. Remember, when this goes up, let's see, interest rates are coming down. What blew a lot of people's minds is when they saw the CPI and they saw the PPI and they saw the bank ratio to loan. They were stunned that the bond market stayed the way it did. The Fed came in and just bought bonds, and because as they refer to them as the bond vigilantes. In other words, whenever they sell bonds, the public sells bonds and refuses to buy them, they refer to them as vigilantes, which seems odd to me, but they do. And they really put a pounding into the bond market, which had everybody shook up. And so now the Federal Reserve has woken up to that fact and is now stepping up constantly and buying when it's necessary. I understand that they buy 55% of every auction now. 55%. There was a time if they bought 5% of the auction, people would be angry and the markets would be nervous. Now they buy 55% of the market, and they're at all-time highs. How much are they buying of the stock market? That's the bigger question. Is that not only are they buying 55% of the bond market at given auctions, they're probably buying a lot of stocks. They're probably got a portfolio of stocks that are magnificent. Now, we always cheer on the Swiss bank, the central bank of Switzerland itself. They publish what they buy, and boy, do they do good buying. When Doc was screaming about the V bottom, they were loading the boat. I mean, they loaded the boat up. They paid like, I don't know, was it $99 or something like that for Apple or $89 for Apple, something crazy. And I did a couple webinars looking at their portfolio. What a great group of bankers they are. They just know how to trade the markets exquisitely. And they were buying Amazon, they were buying Microsoft at 120, and now it's at 250, 260. I mean, if you would assume, well, yeah, we would think that it's hard. It's hard to find good traders. As much as everybody likes to pretend there's a lot of them out there, it really is hard to find good traders. And you would have to imagine that every one of these central banks should be out there hunting for the best and the brightest, and with some real experience. Because boy, they're able to generate money and create money out of thin air. Every one of these central banks, and you would think that they would load the boat up and just compensate their deficits with profits from the stock market, since they're propping these stock markets up. You really would. At least I would. In my head, to me, that would be the most logical thing going on. I would think it's I mean, it's a no-brainer as far as I can tell. I mean, instead of raising taxes, can you imagine if you're a good politician and you go, okay, we're not going to really raise taxes. We're just going to tighten our belts. You could say that, especially with the media here in the United States. We're going to tighten our belts and then let the Federal Reserve just step up and buy. Or the U.S. Treasury step up and buy. I mean, it wouldn't matter if it's illegal or not. The U.S. media is not going to report it. We'll be a bunch of us complaining and like myself saying, "Oh my God, why are you doing that?" But in the end result is I say myself, "My God, if you're going to be abusive, well, I guess be real abusive in the right way. Make money for the country, and then spend it instead of raising taxes on people." It really just shows you how odd the left is, and obviously the left is not controlling the central bank in Switzerland. They are good traders. All right. Now that we got control of our charts again, let's see, where are we? And right there. So yeah, that was the bond market. And let's see, what do we go back to? I'm going to check out the currencies again. And that's, like I said, that's the dollar index. Just kind of flattished, a little bit firm today. But look at the weekly. It's, the pressure on it. It's been in a daily sell since here. Let's put a line in there where it went into the daily sell. Right there. And I like that, the way it trends. Some of these currencies have a natural tendency to trend. Look at that. It's been in a sell now since 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 13. This is the 13th day in a daily sell. I mean, currencies really do have a nice trending characteristic. In other words, they catch the momentum, they stay with the momentum. Whereas a lot of products, like in the stock indices and so forth, and stock markets, they can get, and next thing you know, one day it's in a buy. Here's a perfect example of one, is the Nas 100 or the Tech 100. Right there, we showed you that about 10 minutes ago. If I can find it again, there it is. Right there, we showed you this, how it goes in and out. It goes in to a sell, goes back out into a buy, then back into a sell, just day to day. Now that was nice here. We're in a weekly buy here, and it goes into the weekly uptrend. And there is some good distance between most of these, which is nice, and that's what you want. You want to see, like that one, the sell. Goes into the sell here, stays in the sell, for all the way up until like right in this area here. So I mean, and that's what you really want. You want 4, 5, 6 days, 3, 4 days at least, where you can get into a position, make some money, get out of the position, and start over again into something else. All right. Let's see. And then what we were flirting with, let's see if we can go back to that. The stock combo. Let's see how this goes. Let's see if it freaks it out again. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and we'll do it more gently this time. We're going to put the coin in there. Coin. and that's going back 5 days, so that's not too bad. And then what we tried to do is we tried to incorporate a shorter term one. So we save this, and we're going to copy that window. There it is, copy, and then paste. And then let's change that, but not as violently as I did before. And that is, and then we'll have a much broader view. And let's see how we do this. We'll go back just 1 day, and we'll go back. Let's try Nikola Tesla. Let's go all the way. So we'll go with 6390. And that should give us a flavor of that. Let's see how that looks. And then we'll remove the weekly altogether out of this. So let's see, remove. There we are. And let's remove that indicator at the same time. All right, now let's shrink that down a little bit, like so. Let's see, how do we do this? Let's make this 3,000. 6, 9, 3. Oh, that showed us less, not more. Okay, that's confusing. If we go like, remove that and just go like this, see how that goes. There we go. Alright, it's calculating it now. We'll see how that fills in. And then that's filled in. Now we can do this. Now let's go back day-wise and see if we can get a much shorter term basis. So now let's go with 2 days. That's interesting. Let's see what we got going on here. Format. I guess we can go with 3. Make that 6. Let's see how that goes. Somehow or another, it doesn't seem to be collecting as I thought it was going to. Interesting. All right, traders. Well, at least we got it saved. And what we'll do is we'll come back and look at it tomorrow. And right there we have the daily. You can see it's almost like a triangle developing. And we don't even have enough for a weekly at all or any of the other calculations. And matter of fact, I think what we may do is pull the gas line let's try that too. Let's get rid of that gas line 5, which is going to what? It's going to the first one. Okay, so let's format. Let's see, remove that, and then add gas line 3 to there also at the same time. And what we'll do is this way on tomorrow, and I'll play with it tonight, make sure it's starting to function correctly. And properties 1, and let's see, let's make that there. And then we make this one the bottom. Format, make it the bottom like that. There we are. And we'll see how that plays itself out. And like I said, it's really trapping itself. This was the opening day right here, and it's become a triangle. They're trying to consolidate. And as time goes on, we will get more and more information on the coin, or coin, was it Coinbase? And it'll be very interesting. It'll be a new way for us to really measure what's going on with the cryptos. Like you can see here, it's stuck in a little triangle because you can see it with this. Let's see, where's that? Right there. That Bitcoin is doing basically the same thing. It's trapped these last 2 days in a sideways action right there, going nowhere. Matter of fact, I guess you could say in a lot of ways is that Coinbase itself is been reading that action much. Let's see if we can get the mouse there. That action is being read by the Coinbase even better than the futures contract, and that's why we're very interested in watching this product, and probably will be our guidepost. It'll be the true tool to be able to follow the cryptos. As that goes, more than likely the cryptos will go as time goes on, solely because pretty much all the accounts in the United States now have the ability to trade that, which is something that they not all the accounts can trade Bitcoin because they don't have the right to trade futures because their manifesto says that they're not supposed to. So they have to go into the Bitcoin market itself to buy it. And that kind of makes things a little, tight and tough to deal with. When you're a fund, it means reincorporating again or changing the manifesto of it, and then people start to, pretty much every money manager you hear get on the talking head shows basically warns clients don't get involved in cryptos right now, which means more than likely they're going up. And they're all talking about one day there'll be a reckoning. Yeah. That reckoning could come. We've seen this. Doc has seen this. Digital equipment was the classic, one of the classics of it all. There was a stock called Digital Equipment, and it was created by a fellow named Olson, who got his PhD out of MIT. And Olson, what Digital Equipment did is it was a networking company. But it was in the 70s and the 80s, and it was like well beyond, before there was computers. And the stock would trade at like $200 a share, and it'd go to 198. It would be trading at crazy numbers, like 70 times earnings and things like that. It would be like outrageous, 90 times earnings. And everybody said, "Oh my God, you can't trade it, and you can't buy it. And there's no dividend." And they would say it over and over again. But the tech people knew out there that it was a networking company. It was the best networking company. And Cisco Systems now is Digital Equipment. And they merged together or bought them out or something like that. Actually, Compact Computer bought Digital Equipment, and then Cisco Systems bought Compact Computer. And so they had all the Murray Hill people from Digital Equipment at the Bell Labs, and end result is that we went around for years watching people say, you can't buy it, you can't buy it, you can't buy it. Well, guess what? You could buy it. Because in the end result, networking is important every day now. And they were just 10, 15 years ahead, and everybody knew it, and they pumped up the price. I watched that stock go from small numbers to $200, and it sat in the $200 range for like decades. And people they would be terrified of it. The money managers kept on saying, you can't buy it. It has no dividend and it has no reason why it should be at $200. Well, guess what? It was a networking company and a wireless company. And sure enough, the age came along in the computer age in 1985. And then by 1990s, Compaq had already bought it up. People bought it up at $200 a share, like as if it was cotton candy, like it was ice cream. And I say the same thing about cryptos. I think that cryptos are one of the best tools you can have against inflation, because we all see how gold and silver refuse to move, which drives everybody crazy. Let me just save this. I'm going to close it. There we are, right there. And so we zip over to gold, and it's trading at 1,700 when, with all the noise that's going on in our world markets, you would think it would be trading at 5,000. And without a doubt, because of the central banks using gold and silver and platinum to a great extent as currencies, these products are not. I mean, silver, $25, under $26 an ounce, 50% off all-time highs. How do you buy that for an inflation hedge when you're seeing $13 lumber? You're seeing cattle trading in the 125s and held up as high as the 128s, and you see soybeans at $14 a bushel. How is gold and silver so far off their all-time highs? You know, it tells you that the cryptos have taken up the slack. They are now the true inflation tool right there. And so when looking at this, look at that movement. From the 30,000 area in February, it doubled in price. Well, when you're looking at lumber, matter of fact, maybe we should put a lumber chart up there. And lumber has gone from like $8 a board foot to $13 a board foot. Now, why can't gold do the same thing? I mean, we're seeing all the other commodities do that. We're seeing corn and wheat, and we're seeing unleaded gasoline. We've seen crude oil go from 40 to 60. How does gold not find a way to go up like that? And you go and look at gold. Right, that's oil again. Yeah, I'll just show you the expansion, and look at that. It was down in the 40s. 4 months ago, 5 months ago. I mean, was it one, 2, 3, 4, 5 months ago? It's down in the 40s. How does gold not climb? Well, it's the way the central banks are using it. They do a lot of paper gold, and it presses on the physical gold. And that makes it truly a challenge and not a lot of logic to the marketplace itself. And so we drift over to, now look at copper. Copper has been doing pretty much the same dance. Copper has gone, in fact, let's hit the recycle thing there. There we go. Copper has gone from the $3 area, or let's put it this way, $3.50 area, up to the $4.30 area, $4.33 area. It can climb. Everything can climb, but the metals complex. We go over and look at gold. You're going to be like, what? There's gold. And look at the angle and trajectory. Same situation. Look at this. It's down. How can it be down when every other commodity and product in the U.S. markets are up? How can it be down? Hey, middle age. And that's the perfect example of it all. Coffee is up 3 cents today. I'm still holding on for my 156 target. Let me go open that up. We have the JO we can show you today. Let's see, where is it at? Stock combo. There we go. Yeah, I hear you. The inflation factor, the cryptos are really the place for it, Matter of fact, I guess that's one of those things we were talking about right there. Not, no, don't worry or something like that. And as you can see, back in February, here's February. November, February, it's gone from the $30 area to the $40 area. That's a 25% move. Now, no doubt it's gone up and down over the years, but and went up to the $40 area and did the same type of run of last summer, same action, and that was their winner down there. And you can see the 40s, and it does vacillate back and forth in that range. But yeah, how can this go in November, December? This can go from like $30, like I guess it's like 32, 33, or it's 30.89 as a low. So it's $31. It can go from $31 to $40.52, almost $9.50. In the same time period, the gold can go down and silver can go down. Every other commodity we're showing you on the screen here is up. So, yeah, when these money managers say, oh, you can't buy the cryptocurrencies or the crypto assets or whatever they want to call them, they're probably wrong. And sure enough, we've shown you Bitcoin went from 30,000 in the same time period to 60,000. So obviously, it is the inflation factor. It is the inflation hedge, and you don't hear anybody talking about it too much. They're trying to hide it as usual, and I don't think you can hide something like that. I think it's too obvious. But yeah, middle age, check that out. And how about those cattle and all? We caught that one nicely too. We were really surprised about the cash market being as powerful as it was, holding up $3 over the futures. That was a real surprise to me when hearing it. And when it went into the daily sell, you just knew that the world was coming to an end. And it did. They crushed that thing, over a 6-7 day period. What took 3 months to climb up, over a 6-day period, it went the other way. And so that's a great warning there when you see cash markets like that. Run. Run, Forrest, run. Yeah. That's the factor. Forex and inflation and cryptos, or better yet, Bitcoin. And that's really what's going on here. And traders have got to be careful. I see middle age, your math caught that fall perfectly. Yeah. Well, what was really surprising is the velocity that it took. That's the thing that really, I'll put it up there again. That was the real surprise more than anything else. Is, it took months for it to get there, and we went into a daily sell, and it started playing underneath the weekly sell, and poor thing just collapsed. Let me see if we can open that up. Let me close this one up. Close workspace, and then open workspace. Let's see, where's it at? Right there. Here it comes. All right, this is the Doc webinar of the day, and it does represent, the action, and there it is right there. So happy trails to all of you. We will catch you tomorrow. That's where we're just going to go out with looking at cattle. What appropriate thing for singing cowboy songs. So happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. And there you go. You can see it. Look at that action. The cattle went down. What took 2 months to get up, it found a way to get down. Doc, over and out. Catch you tomorrow. Ta-ta for now.